what's the latest on Fred Warner, and when might he be able to play if things go well for the Niners?
Well, they opened up the practice window. I think he's going to talk to us tomorrow. I think he's looking at all things going great. He'll be ready to play next week. So if they win in Seattle, he's ready to go for the NFC. I mean, they're hoping so, but that's the hope that he'll be ready to go for the NFC title game.
Vic, I saw that Ricky Pearsall was limited today in practice. I know that was kind of the big story the last time the Niners played the Seahawks, that there was nobody to get that separation. Is it looking like a possibility that he could go this weekend, or should fans not get their hopes up?
No, I think they can hope. I think he was in the locker room today. I know they got a walkthrough today. They didn't do much, and tomorrow they're going to ramp up a little bit. But I think the plan is they'll see what they can do, and he's hoping. I haven't talked to him, this week, but I think we'll talk the next few days. But he's hoping, and I think he's definitely made some progress last week, so he knows, the severity of the game and how much he's needed. So I think he's going to do what he can, and we'll have a better idea in a couple of days.
Vic, do you have any information on whether the 49ers have any interest in Darrell Taylor, whom used to be with the Seahawks? Texans just let him go, and the 49ers would have first shot at him through a waiver claim. Do we have any indication the 49ers are even looking at that?
Not really. I think they're kind of, I don't want to say happy with what they have, but obviously they have a lot of injuries and guys stepped up. So I think at this point they're kind of going with what they have. I mean, if you brought him in, I'm not sure how fast he's ready to go. They brought a guy in last week, Kaiser White, who wasn't able to go that quickly. So I think it takes a while to get the guy acclimated to the system, kind of get him set. So I'm not sure he'd be able to play Saturday if they brought him in. But I think they're kind of going with what they have. They kind of got some rookies who are playing now, some veteran guys who kind of filled in. So I think the kind of thing is, hey, this is where we are. Let's see what we can do.
Vic, obviously the Niners have been kind of understaffed throughout the whole season, and they just got a chance to face the Seahawks not too long ago. Do you think if you're the Seahawks, even though the Niners are beat up, do you think if you're the Seahawks, you probably didn't want to see the Niners again? For as good as that defense is for the Seahawks, I don't know. Based on who's left in the playoffs, Shanahan's probably the one guy, maybe McVay, but Shanahan's probably the one guy I wouldn't want to give another crack at the defense based on the fact that you just saw him, you've seen him 2 times already. You got to feel like Shanahan is going to be a little bit more confident than maybe if they were having to face somebody else.
That makes sense, but I think the Seahawks strike me as a very confident bunch. They kind of have another. That's what the game last time was. Obviously, the score wasn't that big of a blowout, but it seemed like the game was bigger of a win than the score indicates. So I think they're pretty confident as far as the defensive front, especially against the Niners O-line. I know Trent was out last time, but a lot of the damage came up the middle with those 2 D tackles, kind of dominated the game. So I think they're pretty confident those guys can do that again. And their secondary is really good also. So I think they're pretty confident that the defense can manage against the Niners even a third time.
That, of course, is Vic Tafur, covers the 49ers in the NFL for The Athletic. Vic, what surprised you the most about the way the 49ers beat the Eagles on Sunday?
A lot surprised me. I think I guess I'll start with DeMarcus Robinson. Came out of nowhere, a guy who we knew was a good veteran receiver, but kind of was in the background for a while, kind of emerged in that first drive with some big plays to kind of put the Eagles in the heels a little bit. The defense was getting gassed early on, but they kind of got tougher against the run second half and made some plays. Keanu White had a huge tackle on Jalen Hurts in that scramble in that last drive. So the kind of defense has kind of not been great and have not been very good, but they'll make a handful of plays a game, which kind of get them over the edge, and they did it again on Sunday.
Vic, when you look at the job that Kyle Shanahan has done, he jumped up the kind of betting odds when they ended their season with the Seahawks. When you look at what Kyle Shanahan has done, I know it's a regular season award, but if he doesn't win Coach of the Year, would you think it was some version of a snub?
It's hard to say. He has done a phenomenal job, but it's a great field this year. Look at the job Ben Johnson's done, Mike Vrabel. I mean, these are teams that were really bad last year. Now they're in the thick of things. So I think and Liam Cohen, another guy. So there's like Mike McDonald, obviously another guy. So there's really some great candidates. So I think, yeah, Kyle deserved it. But again, all those other guys also, in my book, also deserve it. So I just give it a 5-way tie, and we'll call it a day.
Mm-hmm. How you feeling about this, Vic? And I know that it's horseshoes and hand grenades, but you were all over the Panthers in your picks this week, and you were so close. And I know you wrote that you're out on the Rams, but if they win that game, they might win the Super Bowl. How was that like down the stretch, seeing that Panthers almost pull that one out for you?
Yeah, they covered the spread. That's all.
Yeah.
I hate to be the degenerate gambler, but that's the main thing, I guess, in these kind of things. But I thought Bryce Young definitely made a huge step up. He's a guy who's going to be kind of hot and cold all year long. And now for the Panthers, I think there's some real hope there. He's a guy who can make another jump next year and kind of get there. So defense played well. I think that they're a much tougher matchup for the Rams than the Bears are. I mean, obviously the weather will be a huge factor, but the Bears defense should not be able to stop the Rams. So I think the Rams will be in a lot better shape this week.
Vic, obviously some big news today with Mike Tomlin, just to go a little bit more broad with the NFL. Just give me your thoughts on, obviously, John Harbaugh and him moving on from the Ravens and Mike Tomlin moving on from the Steelers. Is it shaping up to be one of those, I guess, crazier off seasons just with some big names available, and we got to figure out who's actually going to want to coach or not? But, yeah, pretty big news today in the NFL.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We're up to 9 openings now. I think, and the worst coach in that division held on to his job, whereas Harbaugh and Tomlin all went south. So I think Mike Tomlin makes sense. He's been there for a long time, and clearly it was pretty clear he had a great regular season record, but in the playoffs they didn't do much. I think at some point you need a fresh start, so maybe it takes a year. And the broadcasting booth comes back a year from now, gets a nice job. So I think it made sense for him and also for the team to kind of take another step in another direction.
By the way, speaking of the picks, Vic, as we just were, you had a pretty good week, didn't you, in the Athletic last week?
I did, man.
Yeah.
The Packers killed me. I would have been 6-0 against the spread, but the Packers collapsed. So it was a nice week after kind of a ho-hum regular season.
What is the most important thing you think the 49ers need to clean up from the 13-3 loss to Seattle?
I mean, it's going to sound like a trivial thing, but for them, special teams have been such a huge deal this year. They've been so good on it, and they were not very good this past weekend. So I think they got to be clearly the best team in the kicking game, returns, coverage, field goals, punts, to have a chance to win on this weekend. So that, to me, it's not sexy, but to me, I think those guys have to come through and kind of make that dominant thing, and they can check in their box.
Vic, do you think fans out there should feel better about the Niners defense, or did this just say more about how bad the Eagles offense ultimately was?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think the Eagles are a mess. Now, clearly, I think I've been Team A.J. Brown all year long. He's been whining, complaining, but he had some pretty big drops in that game. Jalen Hurts didn't make some plays, but they should have scored more points against the 49ers defense. I think you look at the matchups in the field, I think you can see why they let go of the coordinator. So to me, it's more of the Eagles being a mess than the Niners having a great defensive moments. But again, they do this all year long. I mean, people rule them out, and they always somehow find a way to win. So it's pretty impressive. It's a tight team, high character team, like high leadership. So you see how important it is on the football field.
Vic, we appreciate your time. We'll let you go on this one. How much of a difference from that 13-3 loss can Trent Williams' presence make for the Niners?
Big difference. They definitely, he's not in there. You kind of throw out, maybe, I'd say 20% of the playbook is what they can do as far as some zone blocks, some schemes they use. So that's a big difference. So I think he's ready to – he's not – I'd say he's probably 75% healthy, but for him that's good enough. So just a guy that they have to worry about, whereas last time – also, Pleasant's did a nice job, but for the Seahawks, you definitely know you're not getting the 49ers' best punch if Trent Williams is not in there.
All right, Vic, we look forward to this week's picks. Thanks, brother. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
Yeah, the one and only Vic Tafur shot down my whole Darrell Taylor scheme.
Quick, too.
Quit, yeah. I don't think so. Yeah, they're happy with what they have. It's not Vic's fault.
Well, I
He's
think
right, but
yeah, but that's the mojo thing, right? Where why I asked him about should you feel better about the Niners defense or not? That can be a fan, but it feels like the Niners at least do. Mm-hmm. They feel better or good enough about it that you didn't go out or you probably won't go out and add somebody.
Yeah. Before we get back to the Kings, this is already a successful season for the 49ers, right? I mean, can we pretty much say at this point, yes, rubber stamp, successful season?
Context is everything, so yes. And even going prior to the injuries, Kyle you knew what he was doing a little bit, but
Shanahan, Ledbetter, or Draper?
Kyle Shanahan,
okay,
he had kind of lowered everyone's expectations. We got a young group, right? He did. And I kind of called him out. I mean, you got some young guys, but you got some vets. All those vets got injured, so it kind of fit what he had kind of laid out to begin with.
Yeah, I'm with you. But then did you see, I think it was after the Eagles when he said, boy, I knew we had a special group here. And I was thinking, well, no, you were telling us that, we'll see. Yeah. We'll try to get in the playoffs.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I knew we had a special group.
Yep. And now everything lines up. And, yeah, I thought it was interesting how Vic didn't really blink at the Shanahan getting a third chance at the Seahawks because it's not maybe scheme. It's just the Seahawks personnel. So I don't know. I'm excited to watch, but you got to think Shanahan's going to cook something up.
Well, they got to figure out a way to better protect Brock Purdy, and maybe that's as simple as with Trent Williams' error.
Yeah.
That solves a lot of that. But Brock Purdy had no chance on many of those plays. They couldn't run the ball, and then he just didn't have time to throw it.
Yeah. What's interesting is that was the one game when Brock starts doing his scurry thing, right? He looks very slippery. But that was the one game where he wasn't getting away from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
From anyone. Because you look at the different things that they add into the offense, and it does kind of seem like some of their plays take a while to work itself out, right? You got Demarcus Robinson. They're not a lot of quick throws, and I do wonder, do you got to move towards that if you're not going to have that time?
I thought this was interesting. I saw today, if I have the numbers right, Vic Fangio blitzed Brock Purdy like 11 times, and he was 2 for 9 and threw both his interceptions on blitzes.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you blitz more? He did have the big gainer to DeMarcus Robinson was off a blitz. But
right.
I wonder if we're going to see more of that. But, yeah, he just had none chance until that drive where, it ended with McCaffrey losing the ball, and it ended up being an interception. Other than that, they just can't get their offense going at all, and they just can't run the ball.
No.
Don't even try, Jay.
Yeah.
Let's just go West Coast offense. Throw it.
I'm with you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because every it's like, well, 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 11. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand it didn't feel like a close game, but the pick, they got Trent back. Maybe they get Ricky.
You're optimistic. But you're also a Raider fan, so I don't know.
I don't know. I just don't necessarily. I just think that the Seahawks look so good. I don't know that they can replicate it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's also a lot of rest for them and a short week for the Niners. But you're right. I know what you mean. If it's the fourth quarter and the 49ers are in the game and Seahawk fans start and get a little antsy, you see that happen in the playoffs. A road team looks up and goes, man, this is great.
Right. I think if you cannot kind of put the pedal to the metal early, if you're the Seahawks, like you can't do what you did in Santa Clara. You do what you did in Santa Clara, then the Niners might figure out some things. But you come out, you take care of business. We're the better team. We're the home team. Go up a couple possessions early, then okay. Do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I think that no matter what happens, it's going to be considered a successful year. Even if, worst possible scenarios when you have a big lead, like 28-3 in a Super Bowl or something, and then you don't win that game. But that's unlikely. But other than that, I think everyone's going to have to say, no matter what happens, and maybe the 49ers win, they keep going.
Yeah.
But no matter what happens from here, I think people have to say, that's a pretty darn good season.
Yeah. You know what's so funny is we spent a lot of time